Tech Cocktail Sessions, educational and inspirational talks from experienced startup founders, entrepreneurs, and thought leaders.
This event is Cars.com speaker series, so we're super excited to be working with Cars.com. We've been doing this for over a year. It's been a while. I don't even lost track. Almost 2 years, third year. Wow. So yeah, super excited to be working with Cars for that long and on this such a great event series. The panel tonight is going to be a great discussion about tech and product development. And I wanted to introduce Kevin Steele. He's the CTO of Cars.com to say a few words and welcome everybody. So come on up, Kevin. Let's hear it for him.
Thanks, Frank. I'll make this quick. I just want to thank everyone for coming out. I realize that we might be competing with the Blackhawks tonight, so I'm glad you made this choice instead. I'm excited about the theme tonight because it's around partnership between technology and product. And my partner is sitting on the panel, so I'm excited about that. And I also want to thank the rest of the panelists for coming and joining us. So thanks again. We're in our third year now of the partnership with Tech Cocktail, and so keep an eye out for future speaker series events that are coming up later this year. Thanks a lot. Appreciate it.
All right. Thank you, Kevin. All right. So who's ready for us to get started? All right. I'm ready, too. And this is the first time we've actually done it in this venue, so hopefully you enjoy it. It's a spacious place. Hopefully you can hear us. All right. So let's get going here. We're going to talk about product and tech and everything in between. So first off, let's go down the row here, and everyone's going to kind of introduce themselves. They're also on the screen, so if you're following along, you can tweet them or talk with them as well. So let's start with Jen. Yes, definitely talking to that mic. You can grab it, yeah. Everyone get comfortable with their mics. You can take them off the stands and talk right into them. Right. Are we on? Okay, great.
Hello, my name's Jen Busenbark, and I work at Braintree. I've been at Braintree for about 4.5 years now. When I started, we were about 4 developers, and I was the first product manager. And over the last 4.5 years, we've grown significantly. So I think our product dev team is about about 70, and we've got about 7 PMs now. So I've been fortunate enough to be there early on. To be part of all of the products that we've delivered thus far. So it's been a great ride, and I've gotten to learn a lot about how product and development need to work together through growing as a startup.
Hi, everybody. My name is Sandra Dainora. I'm the Director of Product at Grubhub. So I started about 2.5 years ago, and I was actually the second product person that was hired there. So definitely kind of evolved as our organization has grown into now a team of 25 plus product people, including user experience, quantitative research, et cetera. So definitely can provide some perspective on the evolution of introducing new product teams into your organization, as well as kind of the great partnerships that you can put in place with your teams.
Hi, everyone. My name is Aaron Rankin. I'm a co-founder and the CTO at Sprout Social. We are a 4-year-old software startup here in Chicago. So I guess the perspective that I can give is when I started, I was the only engineer, and the product person was our CEO. And today, the broader product team is probably about 40 people. And I run the tech side of the house, and I partner a lot with kind of the product and design side of the house. So I guess that's my perspective here.
And I'm Barbara Masigian, VP of Product from Cars.com. Apparently, we're the 800-pound gorilla in the room. So we have 250 people combined in our technology and product group, and I've been with Cars about a year. And prior to that, I was with CDW, the other sponsor today. So it feels like old home week here.
All right, so first off, to get things kind of going with you in the audience, I want to make this interactive. How many people are familiar with product development and what a product manager is? Okay, that's a pretty good show of hands. I guess what I wanted to find out is kind of set the bar here so everyone's on the same page as like what product management means to them. So do you want to who wants to start with that? Like what's a product manager to your organization? Because it's different. It's different for every organization.
Sure. So I can start. So in some ways, I'd say product management is the duct tape of a lot of things where nobody can actually describe what it is that you actually do, but you're sort of making 1,000 decisions every single time while trying to make sure that everybody's communicating across business, technology, creative, marketing, every other piece. So in some ways, you're juggling a lot of different pieces of the puzzle while trying to make sure that you're shipping the right product at the right time to the right people.
I would definitely agree with what you said. I think at Braintree, I think there are a lot of different roles you can have. You can have a project manager, a product manager, a business analyst, a quality assurance. We've kind of taken the approach where the PM kind of acts. We do a little bit in each one of those roles across each of the products that we develop. So in addition to being the glue, we're also coming up with the strategy of what products we want to release, when we should release them, how we should release them, and kind of managing that whole process from start to delivery out into the wild.
At Cars, product is really about driving our revenue growth. So in addition to everything that's been mentioned around building our website and delivering the right product and experiences to both our consumers and customers, it's really about the core engine that's meant to drive the growth of our business going forward.
So for us as a startup, it's kind of two-sided. It's innovation. I mean, everything that's awesome that we build has to start there, but ultimately the buck starts and ends with the product manager. They're the one person that is solely responsible for the overall success of a product, and that's every aspect of it. It's not just getting it delivered on time. It's not just having it quality with a lot of quality. It's the perception of our customers. It's the perception in the marketplace, the PR campaign. It's every single small and large detail about that thing falls on that person's shoulders. And so if they don't deliver on one thing, it's ultimately their fault.
And I'm going to flip this also. So how does that person then interact on the tech side? And you can, Kevin, weigh in as well. How do you guys interact together?
Kevin and I never talk to each other. Daily, often.
I think
Probably not enough sometimes, too.
Yeah.
I think the big theme is actually collaboration, and I think that's one of the signs of a really successful product and tech relationship is, really being able to, literally we shout across the walls. We were in chat all the time. We were in meetings. There's just every single day, there's new ideas, new points of view, and trying to bring the entire team together and blend that into a cohesive vision that kind of at the end of the day is solving the problems of the customers that you have.
So how are you guys building product? Is it what approach are you taking? Anybody can kind of jump in. Do you take an agile approach? Do you all take the same kind of approach?
We're an agile shop, but we're also increasingly really emphasizing the discovery process for new ideas. As I mentioned, because revenue is so key to our business and to our product team, ideation is really important to driving that business moving forward.
Ideation. That always reminds me of that commercial where everyone lays on the ground. There was a Super Bowl commercial a while back where everyone was ideating, laying on the ground. Does anybody remember that one?
That's exactly what happens in our office.
Looks just like that. Everyone's kind of stiff, laying on the ground, ideating. No, that's not it at all. Let's dive in. What does ideation actually mean? So people have a clearer perception of what that is.
Well, it starts with understanding the marketplace.
Right.
So it's really about collecting that information. For us, it's a dual responsibility. So we have consumers, which are the people that use our site, and we have customers who are automotive dealers as well as OEM manufacturers who are the consumers of our product and who pay us to be present on our site. Mm-hmm. So it's really understanding their core needs and finding that sweet spot, if you will. I talk about it in terms of there's three things. It's the consumer's need, the customer's need, and our business opportunity, whether it's a scalable enough opportunity for us to pursue.
How does the technology side play into that then? Do you all ideate together? Have you ever, not together, but in general?
So I think from Grubhub's perspective, good ideas come from every single place. There's not one person who's the idea generator. That really we try to gather as much input from as many people as we can. Where we are constantly whiteboarding, we're actually in the field talking to our diners, talking to our restaurants, talking to our customer care teams, trying to understand what where are there issues that we could be doing a better job at resolving. And some of it just comes from collaborating together and thinking about like a spark or a moment that then builds into something more.
So you actually have sent people out to figure out problems like that might be out there.
So I think some of it is actually, so at Grubhub we actually have a very core, one of our core principles is actually user research and really understanding the marketplace, and a lot of that is actually through contextual design. So we actually will spend time, in restaurants. We actually have a internal restaurant that we've built within our office so that people within our organization actually have the opportunity to use our products that we're actually providing for restaurants, and also the ones that we're providing for our diners. So really trying to build empathy, and then from that being able to kind of use those as takeaways into things that we're doing. So I think that's one thing that from our perspective, contextual design inquiry, and really like you can send surveys out left and right, but until you understand the why and seeing how people are using your products, really you can make the wrong inferences, and that's I think something that we really believe really strongly about.
So it takes the guessing out of it. Good. Okay. Does anybody else want to add to that? Or are we moving on? Moving on. Okay. So in that approach, we kind of talked about how ideas come to life with ideation. How do things get prioritized? Like they come in and everyone's got ideas. They come from all directions and ideation or whatnot. How does that fall into the bigger, picture as far as I'm sure that the technology side has things that need to be done and other folks that may be weighing in have things that need to be done. How does that all happen within your organizations?
It's hard. It's really hard. Prioritization, I think, is probably one of the hardest pieces of my job, at least, because so we do have, similar to what Sandra said, ideas come in from everywhere. We have our merchants. We've got our sales team that needs certain features for certain merchants that we're trying to sign up. We've got our support team. We have just all these avenues. And then we also, as a company, have overarching goals of what we want to accomplish that year. And then the technical piece is really important as well, because you cannot sacrifice and not spend time on, addressing technical debt or scaling or building out infrastructure. You have to make time for that. So I think for us, we have ideas that come in, we get into a room, and we have key stakeholders in that room, and we present all of the ideas, and we kind of talk through what it is we want to accomplish for maybe that quarter. We try not to plan out too far ahead because things change so quickly. We don't want to waste our time trying to plan for a year and then have to meet up again in 3 months and do the same exercise over and over again.
So what's considered long term? Like what you're creating this strategy. What's considered long term? You said a quarter. Like, is that all that you look ahead, or is
well, of course we look for the year and we say, okay, these
Okay.
are the overarching things.
Yeah.
Like for Braintree specifically, we really want to focus on mobile and making a great mobile experience for our merchants. So that's always a theme that carries on with us. So we kind of lay out the higher level goals for the year, but when we're going to actually say, okay, what are we going to have our development teams work on this, now we try to keep it to like a quarter.
a quarter? Does everyone look at it that way, or is it longer term planning? Like, what's long-term planning, I guess, mean to you?
Well, I mean, we maintain a very deep backlog. We set out annual goals, quarterly goals, but we don't take it very seriously. We go through, the set of projects that are active, and every time we're done, we reassess everything. And that's not a very intensive process. It's a small committee of people that just takes a fresh look at it based on what we know now. If you plan for a year out and you stick to it, chances are you're going to be wrong in a year. So at least in the startup.
Yeah. So you're kind of taking that flexible approach. Do you all take that approach, or is it more set in stone? We got to get this done.
I'd say that we were actually like really, really flexible. That I think it's hard in this day and age not to be, because you're always getting new information, and that information, whether it's new technology, new ways to solve a problem, or even just kind of a new bug that's cropped up that you can't necessarily look at everything in stone, that it's important to be as flexible as possible. And I would say anybody who says that their roadmap where they designed it today, a year out, if they actually stick to it, I've never met somebody who actually has actually seen that play out.
So obviously we're a larger organization, and it's not just us who brings the product to market. So there's a broader commercialization process that we work through that we have to plan a little further in advance. Right. So we're looking out a year and kind of rolling that forward. Obviously making adjustments as we go, as we put things into test market and prototype and learn from that. and realize what's hitting or what's missing. So we kind of put a stake in the ground looking, at a constant rolling year out, and then we're making adjustments as we go.
Okay, that makes sense. So let's talk about the relationship between the product side and the technology side. What is that relationship like? If you could describe it.
I'll just say I love my dev teams. So I think just to give a little bit of context about sort of how Grubhub is actually set up. So we're sort of in the unique position that we're serving a number of different constituencies, including our the diners. So if you ever placed an order online, the restaurants kind of within our network, as well as our internal teams, including our customer care folks. So we're actually looking at many different stakeholders at any point in time. So our dev teams are actually aligned kind of in those different leagues, and we actually have what we call stream teams that are comprised of business analysts, quality assurance, as well as 3 to 4 developers. And so I think within that, we spend a lot of time together, and I think it's something that really being able to have open lines of communication helps out with being able to communicate effectively and really understand that everybody knows what is it we're doing, why we're doing it, and what the actual impact it has.
Similar to Grubhub, we have different product teams that work on different streams of work, and we try to keep our teams fairly small, 2 to 3 dev pairs, with a product manager paired up with a tech lead. So it is very collaborative. We're sitting together, like you said. All the decisions that you're making, you're involving your tech lead. You can't do it on your own. You're both dependent on each other to actually release a really good product. So it's very collaborative, and I'm with you. I love my dev teams. We could not have released any of the products without them and without their input and their ideas. They bring a different view, a different lens to the problems we're trying to solve. So I think that's what makes it successful.
I think just to add on that too, it's also being able to provide, balance of, the way that we may have originally thought about a problem and how to solve it may not be the best way to actually to do that. And so being able to have kind of that context of, what is the actual level of effort? Is there a better way that we could be doing it? And being able to have those conversations and make hard decisions about, there may be times where doing the right thing may actually take us longer to build, but is actually better for our longer term scalability.
Right. Anything else to add?
Yeah, so I was just going to add kind of the tech perspective. So representing the engineering side of the house, I love my developers as well. I also do love our product team, and at Sprout, we do everything with a heavy focus on design and on both UX design and aesthetic design. And so our product and design teams are kind of one cohesive unit. So everything we do starts with ideation, in front of Adobe Illustrator, in front of other kinds of wireframing, mock-up tools, and just whiteboards and paper sometimes. But in those sessions, we always involve whatever dev leads are going to be involved in the eventual product. We don't keep the same teams together for every single project. We sort of combine and disassemble with every initiative based on who can bring the best skills or who may be involved or may be available at the given time. So, we involve developers early and often because designers tend to take things as far as they possibly can. And so sometimes we deal with high scale across the board. And so if you're not taking that into consideration, things are going to fall flat as soon as you start your Scrum project. Yeah.
You good? Do you want to add anything? Okay. So I wanted to get to the actual. Have you ever had tensions, like roadblocks, things that have come up between the two teams? If so, how have you addressed those?
So we actually just had a meeting today to do a bit of a post-mortem on a project where we had a few stumbles.
Yeah.
And it's a healthy process, right? Because it's about looking back and what can you learn about what you did and can improve the next time. It was great open dialogue.
That's a healthy approach to it versus just like, we did that.
Let's ignore the problem.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and that's kind of the culture we're trying to build, right?
Right.
Because that's our responsibility, particularly as leaders in that culture, is to say we're not going to be perfect each time, but if we don't draw from that the learning so that we can continue to improve, then where are we headed?
Right.
And I think that's actually a really important part to think about kind of as you're looking at your own processes is being able to think about how you're actually retrospecting. So we typically will actually do retrospectives after sort of every large initiative. We actually do some after every sprint to kind of get a sense of what's working well, where there are areas for us to be able to improve, and what are kind of the key action items that we want to instill. And I think one thing that we found is it's a great way to have sort of a safe environment for folks to sort of share share within the team and think about how can we not only build a better product, but also a better team.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. The retrospectives are very important. We do the same thing. We'll do a whole team retrospective, then we can do individual product retrospectives. But I think what's really important is the collaboration, the communication, and building that trust so that when you do run into issues and something isn't going as planned, you can have that open dialogue and talk about that. And it's just really important to build those relationships with the team that you're working with.
So that's a great tie into my next question was how do you collaborate regularly? Like what do you guys do to make that happen?
Tooling, lots of well, first of all, we talk a lot, just in person. A lot of our team is local here in Chicago, so we have the benefit of just walking across the hall and talking to people, and we certainly take advantage of that. But we've gone through many evolutions of tools at Sprout. In the beginning, it was like just Google Apps, and now we're to the point of fully embracing everything that Atlassian will sell us. And it all started with Jira, and now we're just like buying every single one of their products. So. But I think it's really important to find the tool that fits your company, your team, the way that you work. Don't just do it because all the cool kids are using it. So right. Every tool sort of prescribes a certain sort of workflow, and if your team is not ready for that workflow, it's only going to be inefficient.
And I think we're all co-located, so the teams are naturally communicating throughout the day as they work on their products. We also have dedicated scrum rooms, so every day they're doing stand-ups in their scrums, and that's the way to keep the pipeline of communication open. So there's constant flow.
So chat, you're doing chat too. So you have a chat app that you use. Do you all use chat to communicate?
Yeah, Link.
Okay. Great. You had mentioned something. You were going to mention something else.
Yeah. So I think regardless of whatever tool that you guys are using, a tool is not going to solve a communication problem. That I think at the end of the day, it's a way to kind of continue your workflow, but it's really important to be able to honestly share your opinion and understand kind of what concerns people might have. If there's things that are working well or not well, that at the end of the day, really we value being able to just stand up, talk to somebody, shout across a cube, and focus on sort of the people first part of it.
So what I'm hearing is communication is the number one thing that you guys is important to that relationship.
Communicate early, communicate often. That's my motto.
Yeah.
Communication and collaboration is what it sounds like. Okay, what are some other pitfalls? Have you had any other pitfalls within your organizations that you can remember that you can talk about? You mentioned some post-mortem stuff.
Well, I mean, level of effort planning and planning across product teams so that you can synchronize a larger effort as you're bringing it to market. That's always a challenge to work through. We're getting better at that as we continue to move forward. But that's that's where our Scrum Masters kick into play, is kind of helping to work in terms of the cross-team coordination and timing, so that we can bring the full experience to bear when we need to go to market.
Okay. Let's talk about success. How do you guys measure success within your organization? What are the we did it kind of days?
We have a robust set of KPIs. My team will laugh, hopefully. No, really. I mean, we actually have a set of unifying site-wide KPIs that we use for the entire team. It's not complicated. It's 6-8 KPIs. And then each product team has a set of KPIs. They get a regular reporting on that, and they have daily dashboards that they're using as well as the monthly reporting. So there's kind of a constant flow. But there's ways that the team can coalesce around that as a group.
We're not that sophisticated. So I think the way we measure success is when we deliver a product, is it solving a problem for our merchants? Are they using it? Are they able to build a beautiful checkout experience on their app based on what we build behind them? So I think we judge our success on that for the most part.
Yeah, so kind of similar at Sprout. So we're all about measuring social media, and so as a result, we also dog food and honestly gauge immediate success based on reaction from our customers, both in social media, on blogs. We've got a large sales team that's always talking with them. It's really hard to measure this kind of thing, and as a technologist, that innately bothers me. But we're moving too fast to even honestly develop metrics that are meaningful to us. So I understand in a larger organization why you need to run this way. But in a small organization, we just have to move forward, trust our guts, and listen early and often.
Yeah, I would add to that definitely while we have a number of KPIs that are in place, at the end of the day, delivering a product that solves an unmet customer need, at the end of the day is like the biggest win for us. So every place that we're, saving a minute of time for a restaurant, or we're making, somebody's dinner come a little bit faster, or, helping a customer care person do their job, and we hear about it and we see it, actually come to life, like that's actually the most rewarding part of, at the end of the day, knowing that the things that we're spending time building are actually making a difference in the kind of daily lives of the users that we're thinking about.
Great. Let's see. So we talked about pitfalls. We talked about formula. Actually, we haven't talked about what do you look for in a product team? Like, what's the dream team kind of setup? Like, what's ideal? What are the types of qualities you look for?
I mean, there has to be a spark there.
Yeah.
So a natural curiosity and a natural drive. There has to be someone who can actually lead and motivate a set of diverse talents, because at the end of the day, it's the product manager who's trying to bring that team together to accomplish a mission. They have to have some natural analytic aptitude and some natural interest in technology. Mm-hmm. But mostly, a great product manager is a great synthesizer of information, a great communicator, and a great motivator.
So would you say that they have to have some kind of tech background too and move that direction, or is that?
No, not at all.
Okay.
In fact, I've seen great product managers who've come out of design principles, technology, general business skills, so not at all.
I think that depends on the role. If you're product managing in a deeply technical product, you're going to have to bring that to bear. At Sprout, I always look for some kind of technical background, ideally CS degree from a great school. At the very least, developer chops go a long way in empathizing with the devs that you're working with and so forth. So that's important for us, but I think at every company it's different. The fundamentals that Barbara pointed out, though, are absolutely kind of the core. If the person isn't very smart, very driven, and a fantastic communicator, a fantastic rallier, they're going to fall flat.
Yeah.
I think another thing is you want somebody who's passionate and that cares about the product that you're working on, and that cares deeply about what your customers are saying and wants to fix those problems.
So fighting for the customer's right.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think at the end of the day, honestly, like a good product person is an advocate, right? So you're an advocate for your business, you're an advocate for your stakeholders, you're an advocate for, the people that you're building products for. And if you're not, listening is actually one of the most important things that, I look at as well, is really understanding and empathizing kind of with what, what's happening around them, and then being able to react to that.
So I've heard now communication, listening, and collaboration. Are those the only three things we need? Is there anything else I'm missing?
Smarts.
Smarts. Okay.
Sometimes some technical abilities.
And sometimes some technical abilities. Okay.
With a dedication to users.
So I'm running out of fingers. Let's get your questions ready. So if you have questions, be thinking about them. Okay, we got a few more questions here, and then we're gonna go to the audience as well as to Twitter. And Kevin, do you have anything you want to add too? Be ready. You're the mic guy right now on the tech side.
No, I guess I would just echo a lot of what I heard from the panel. I think what's really important is that the partnership between product and technology is really about the best interests of the user or the customer and the business, and bringing those two things together. We as technologists don't spend a dime on technology without understanding how that's going to pay back from a business benefit perspective, right? So we're just not out there creating things to create things. And our partnership with our product partners is really important in understanding how that needs to work and how we spend our time. So I think that's what I'd add.
Perfect. Okay. All right. How are those questions coming along? Who wants to be the first? Right in the front here. All right. We'll repeat it. So. Or actually, we could pass the mic. We can pass the mic, yes. That might be easier.
Hi, I guess my question is about how do you work with the speed of technology right now? So obviously as a product manager, your job is to advocate for your customers, you're solving a problem and things like that. Sometimes even with Agile, what you find is that you guys are moving so fast, sometimes you might get ahead of yourself. How do you guys handle having to pivot and move back and move into another direction when you realize that you're actually not solving a problem with your product?
So one of the things we like to do is we like to release often and all of the time. So our developers go by the motto, well, when they check something in, we should have a releasable product. So if something does happen where we're developing something and we figure out we're doing the wrong thing, we're not in a state where we have to do a bunch of unraveling and we can't quickly pivot and move on to the next thing. We try to keep our things kind of shorter duration, so we're not doing a project maybe that would last 6 months or something. So by doing that, we kind of, manage the risk that something's going to completely turn on its head and we're going to have to go in a different direction.
Good question. Brave.
Yeah, I was just going to add, for us, with every story that goes through every sprint, every iteration, the product manager is thinking about, maybe the story is like enabling a drop-down. The product manager is thinking about, does this thing matter and is this thing built right? And that's a bad example, but we're constantly validating that what we're building is useful, and if it's ever not useful, we're not afraid to pull the plug. Or if tomorrow, for us in social media, if Twitter releases some brand new API that we have to implement, it's table stakes or it's critical to our competitive advantage, we're just going to drop everything and go do that and then come back. So.
All right.
Yeah, Agile's not without its pitfalls, and one of its pitfalls is that you're moving so fast that a lot of the stuff you're putting out there actually doesn't have high value. So, one of the things the Agile process kind of struggles with is actually doing enough diligence around the discovery process to make sure that there's going to be value at the other end of your effort. So that's one of the things that we're trying to shore up in our Agile process, is to make sure that we're actually putting and investing the development time in the right business value efforts, rather than just moving to keep the pipeline filled, and that is the risk.
And I think just to add on what Aaron mentioned, I think it's also okay to make the decision to actually stop something, right? That I always think about one of the products that we were working on last year. We actually were weeks away from the deadline, getting ready to put something into market, and we actually said, you know what? This is actually too hard, and we actually ended up pulling the plug. And it was like the right decision because it actually ended up saving us in the long run.
How did you feel, though? Isn't that tough? I mean, it's a tough...
I actually felt pretty good about it.
Okay, you felt
right, so
good.
I think that's I think an important part of a good product and development relationship is being able to know sort of like when it's time to pull the plug and when it's time to evaluate, like, is this meeting a problem that our user has? Is this the best way to solve the problem? If not, it might be time to rethink the way that you're looking at it.
Right. Great point. All right, we've got a question in the back here. He's got a hand up. We'll bring you a mic. It's over here. Fran is running to the rescue.
Hi. Do entrepreneurs make good product managers? And why would they or why would they not?
Do entrepreneurs make good product managers?
Startup entrepreneurs.
I think that's like asking if, not to be rude, but I think that's like asking if anyone could be a good product manager. I don't think there's anything inherent in an entrepreneur that distinctly makes them a great product manager. I think they tend to have a number of the checkboxes that we talked about, from passion and drive and vision, and probably the ability to rally people, to empathize with some need that is out there, some customer. So they do tend to be pretty good product people, but some entrepreneurs are just businessmen. And so my co-founder, he is a fantastic product person. He's doing the CEO role, but his dream job would be running product. But he wants to make sure that our overall vision is realized. And so I think it depends on the person.
Yeah. Definitely depends. Okay. There's a question up here. Fran's got the mic. Ready to go.
Hey, I was just curious, how do you guys listen to your customers, and how do you separate useful customer feedback from absolute garbage?
how do you figure out the good stuff?
So I think so I spoke to it a little bit earlier. So we do a lot of contextual design, and so actually looking at people in the context of actually how they're using their products. So for example, last summer, we spent weeks upon weeks in restaurants actually watching people use our products, and how they were actually going through the workflow.
So physically eating, or
physically, we were actually like observing all the roles in the
Wow.
restaurant, and seeing how they do their job. Not a hypothetical like, well, we think our person is using this product in this way. We actually just wanted to watch
so the actual
it.
restaurant owners and workers and people that run
Yep.
the restaurant, not the people that are the customers. Okay.
Yep. And so I think that's that's one way that we've been really just trying to synthesize, that take out the hypotheticals and actually watch your customers using your product, to be able to get a sense of that. We certainly use surveys. We do usability tests, but I think until you understand the why, the what doesn't matter.
Right. Else want to add anything?
I mean, we've done a variety of things, everything from ethnographic studies to traditional usability labs to, ongoing surveying on site. I think the question about how do you determine what's valuable feedback and what's not valuable feedback is really sometimes just a matter of interpretation. So is it an isolated instance that you think is unique to that user's set of requirements, or is it something that you can kind of project onto a broader audience? And some of that can be best vetted out in terms of both quantitative versus qualitative studies. So where you want to make sure and test that this is meeting a broad group of your users, you might employ more quantitative techniques than qualitative.
Okay. Great. Anybody else want to add anything, or are we good? Next question. All right. Where's the mic at? I can't. Raise your hand. Okay. Who's got the next question? Right here in the front here. Third row. Fran's on it. Good questions.
This question is for Sandra. You mentioned that you assemble, disassemble teams based on a project. How does that scale when you have multiple projects?
I'm sorry, could you repeat that again?
You mentioned that you assemble, disassemble teams based on project, choosing the best resources for a project and such. How does that scale when you have multiple projects?
So I think that actually may have been Aaron that mentioned the realignment, but we actually at Grubhub, kind of until we got to sort of our league format that we have now, we've got sort of very user-oriented groups. We actually did have kind of our dev teams switching between projects, and that one thing that we actually found that came from that was, context switching is tough, right? That if you've got a team that is working on iOS kind of now and then switching to internal, customer care tools, that we were actually losing a lot of the knowledge and a lot of the insights into why certain decisions were made, which is actually why we ended up realigning our teams to be focused within sort of a particular track. And that's something that we found to be a little bit more successful for us. It's certainly something that is kind of a new alignment that we've come to in the last few months, but so far so good. I think part of it is because as a team, our developers understand what are who are the problems, or who are the users and the problems that we're trying to solve them for, and then kind of being able to really take that information, internalize it, rather than kind of jumping course every few months.
Anybody else want to add anything to that?
I'll just say at Braintree, we kind of do a similar thing that Aaron was talking about, and based on the product we're developing, we assemble a team, and then once that product is released, then the team the developers have interest, so they'll either pick up the next product or maybe join another team, and there'll be some rotations. But there is issues with that. There are some downfalls to that, which is what Sandra was saying with the context switching. So we are constantly kind of tweaking our process so that we can give developers a chance to work on a lot of different products, but then also not rotating them too much so that we're not losing context, because there has to be somebody in the end who knows the product inside and out so we can address any issues that come up. So I think at Braintree we constantly kind of struggle with that, and the pendulum swings from one end to the other, and we just are we change when the issue arises that we're feeling the pain, then we try something different.
I think just to add to that as well, I think a lot of it too is just ramp up time, right? That if you've just spent the last, 3 months working on one initiative, being able to then like get a new code base installed on your machine, getting up to speed on what's actually like what spaghetti code might exist. Clearly, we don't have spaghetti code. Everything is great, but just really trying to understand, kind of what has been done before definitely takes that time and impacts kind of our ability to deliver things quickly.
Aaron, you don't have spaghetti code. Come on.
None.
No spaghetti code.
I would actually just add one thing to this is that at Sprout, we're kind of very opportunistic about which people go on which projects at what time, and that also means that as projects are winding down, sometimes it's easy to pull some people off to get onto other things. But our formal projects the formal project process and structure is really only used for the biggest product initiatives. There might be 3 of those going on at any given time, and that might take up 2/3 of the team. So the rest of the team, opportunistically, is working on small things, be them features or technical work. So we've got a whole technical roadmap that our product managers don't even get to see and they don't get to know about, because then they know that we have resources available that they could steal. So those devs get to work on we're constantly scaling our platform, and it's not always possible to do that in the context of feature work. So that's where we get to do that.
All right. Next question, right here.
Can you talk a little bit about what was special or hard about being a product manager or doing Agile right at the beginning when you're just starting up?
Early days of Agile within your organizations. Who wants to kick that one off?
I could do this first. So we've been around for 4 years, and we just started doing Agile in December.
Wow.
We did kind of other stuff like Agile. We sort of adopted pieces of Scrum as we realized that we were falling short, or we were being inefficient, or we were going too far into a project before we realized it was wrong. So for us, we built process around what we needed. We looked at best practices, but early on, I read a Scrum book and said, this just doesn't feel right. And until last year, it really didn't.
And they really cheered your answers, so they liked what you said, apparently, especially in the back.
I think Agile is kind of a loaded term because you can't just read a textbook and implement it. It's completely different for each organization, and if you try to stick to what the book says, you're going to fail. So at Braintree, when we started, there wasn't a lot of developers. So we didn't, we did our daily stand-ups. We tried to do planning meetings, but it really was like we were moving so fast and the market was changing so much that we just kind of ran. I think even now, we at Braintree, even being in a larger organization, we don't really stick to like doing hardcore estimates or spend time on that, because we just give a general level estimate of what we think it's going to take, and we try to plan it out, and we're very lightweight in that sense. So again, I just think it just depends on the organization, and you have to do what's right for the organization. And like I said, when the team changes or things are changing, you need to be willing to be agile and to change, and that's kind of what makes it successful.
I'd say at Grubhub too, we also, while we generally follow kind of an agile-like process, that it's really up to the teams to figure out what process works best for them. So, with our BAs, not everybody runs their planning meetings the same ways. Not everybody does kind of like writes their tickets in the same ways. Not everybody, looks at kind of the way that they're approaching problems in exactly the same way. And that's actually one of the things that we love best is figuring out and understanding the talents and communication styles that work most effectively for your team and being able to capitalize on them.
And just to maybe add a little bit to that, I think you have your core principles that you always stick by, and those you don't change, which is communication, trust, collaboration. And when it comes to like our development practices, we do test-driven development. We try to do pair programming where it makes sense for the majority of the time. So we stick to those things, and then the teams, again, they get to decide, okay, how do they want to run their team? What works best for the makeup of that team?
Barbara, do you want to add something?
Yeah, I think Agile is a different style of delivery process from a technical standpoint, technology standpoint, but I actually think it puts a lot of requirements on the product manager, and specifically to be very clear about the product vision, to really discern what are the right things and the most impactful things to do, to our conversation earlier about prioritization. And I think it's easy sometimes for product managers to fall into the trap of just feeding the agile machine, because every 2 weeks you're pumping something out if you're doing a 2-week sprint, versus making sure that that expenditure of resource is being spent on the right thing. So it's as much a demand on good product discipline, product management discipline, as it is on a different way of delivering technology projects.
All right, great. A few more questions, and then we can get things going here. Who are the brave question askers? Oh, right here. It went up. I had to identify who we were looking for first. The brave ones. The brave, yeah, here's the brave. The rest of you have been not quite as... No, you've all been brave. Okay, go ahead.
Thank you. So I'm curious, Frank actually asked about qualities that you look for in a product manager. Do you have any insight into your hiring process and how you set that up to find those successful candidates?
How do you hire people? How do you hire these people you're
Please
looking
tell
for? What is that?
Please tell me.
Tell you, okay. There's no formula, apparently. But no, each of you probably have a different way to kind of, you find people and bring those people to your team.
Obviously you look for some elements of relevant experience, right? So you're looking for kind of some of those core key drivers in their background. But then a lot of it is how they speak to that experience. So are they able to articulate a clear path that they followed, the results that came from that, the rationale and the reasons for doing that? Do they show good processes of collaboration as well as, good decision making in their prior experience? So those are the things that you can kind of suss out by asking those deeper questions about not just tell me what you've done in the past, but also why did you make those decisions? What resulted from it? How did that impact the rest of the team, and what was the perception of the rest of the organization about those decisions? Really getting that perspective.
At Braintree, we have a pretty rigorous process, I think, for our PMs when they come in. So we do that kind of questioning. We do like resume review, but we also put them through an exercise. So we want to see, we put them in a room for 2 sessions, and the first session is getting them in a room with a business person and with another PM and flushing out kind of requirements. How do they whiteboard? How do they think through a process? And then they get into another session with developers. How do they work with developers? How do they communicate what the requirements are? Is there some give and take? Do they demonstrate that they can collaborate, or do they get up there and just say, here is the solution to the problem, how long is it going to take? So we use those as kind of measurements. We also run them through a priority exercise where we make them stack rank pretty much number one priority things that are very hard. You would want to put them horizontally, but we make them stack rank just to understand their thought process of why they would prioritize something versus another thing. So that's how we try to evaluate our candidates.
I think from our perspective, we definitely also understand that talent comes from unique places. So, my background is in Paleolithic cave art. Would you think that that makes a great PM? Probably not, but I think some of it is just understanding and appreciating sort of the various perspectives that people bring to light in the roles, and really questioning kind of why things are happening. And it's definitely something that there's no checkbox or school or thing that says this is exactly the perfect formula. That I think some of it is also honestly good intuition as well.
So yeah, you bring up a great point. You didn't go to school to be in product or technology development, did you? I mean, that's not like a degree or anything.
I took a coding class, and my mom laughed, and she sort of said, when are you ever going to use this? And I think some of that is, definitely
how you got in there. Okay.
Yeah.
Each of you, I'm curious to hear how you found your way into product or technology development.
So early in my career, I did code, and I managed coding teams. And then I actually moved more into an analytic role. So I was in management consulting for a while, and then I actually moved into digital marketing and broader business roles. So I had this kind of 3-legged stool of the digital experience or the user experience, and that was with an agency, and then with the analytic skills, the core kind of business rationale, and then the early stuff is the technical chops.
Right.
So it wasn't a path of I am setting out to be a product manager by any means, but it was kind of that combination of skills that led me in the direction.
Interesting.
I've been doing technology my whole career, and again, I'm on the tech side, not on the product side, so to speak. But as a founder, I care deeply about what we build, and so often involved in the minutia of that, as well as the big picture. So.
I was actually a psychology major and had no idea what
So
product management
You're kind of
was.
analyzing us right now.
Yeah,
Interesting.
exactly. I
Wish
just
I'd known
happened
that.
to get a job with the consulting firm ThoughtWorks a while back, and it was when the market took a turn and they needed to needed help testing out an application they were building, and they didn't want to hire anyone. So they thought, why don't we take internal people? I was working in recruiting. We weren't hiring anyone, and try to teach them how to do quality assurance work. And so just from there, it started, and then I just went into different roles, and now.
So it sounds like the technology side is more clear. To get into that, the product side is more of a windy road, and you find your way, or it finds you. Does that help people that are looking to get into that? Good. Okay. Any other questions in the audience? Well, front row again.
Maybe I'll do the last question then. I guess since you guys have been doing product for a long time, it seems like, what would you say was your most epic fail, and what do you think you learned from that fail?
Epic fails. Think about that for a moment.
No one ever wants to
As
admit
they're
their
thinking
epic
about
fail.
it, if you enjoyed this, our next event is coming up in September 4th, and you can already get tickets for it. It'll be a speaker-style event. Haven't announced the speakers, but I think you'll really enjoy it. So just wanted to plant that little seed as we think about our failures. Anybody have one they want to share?
I mean, I think everybody's got things that
Right.
they put into test, and you thought that was a brilliant idea. It's like, I guess not. But that's why you do that kind of carefully and thoughtfully. I can't think of one where we actually went to market and pushed something out. It was just like a big splat. But mostly it's you're working that out in some type of, either in the lab before you go on the glass, or in some type of A/B testing mode.
I've got one. Can you think of one? No? Okay. This comes to mind. I used to work at AOL, and we built a start page that was similar like iGoogle, and start pages have kind of had their run, and they're no longer the same way. But we created My AOL, and we spent so much time on the first time user experience, like what it's going to look like, the colors, the buttons, and the dev team and us went back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. And to find when we finally launched it, the first time user experience was a popover that said welcome and all these different things. It was supposed to do different things if you came in the second time. Unfortunately, it never did, and it blocked people from the product. Like you couldn't actually physically get past the start welcome experience. And so for a while, we were like, why are these numbers so low? And we're trying to figure it out, and it was that darn first time user experience. So we ended up scrapping the whole thing, and there was no first time. It was just get there and figure it out. So, I mean, that's definitely a failure that we got to market, which, we spent a lot of time, a lot of pixel pushing, a lot of up and down the chain of the organization, figuring out what that should look like, because it's important. But then it ended up coming to the wayside, or falling to the wayside. So I think those types of things happen, and you got to be ready to, like you said, scrap it. So I shared a failure. I feel a lot better.
I think for me, like the fail would have been, as I said earlier, like had we decided to actually ship a product that we didn't believe in.
Right.
I think the other piece too is, copy. Like as much as we spend so much time looking at it, I will be honest, half the time for some of our initiatives, people are just kind of scanning through that. Like natively, people sort of know how things work. That's definitely one place that we have learned. Sometimes you just need to spend a little bit less time, but more thinking about the user flow and experience, and are you nailing it there?
Right. Great. Good question. Everybody good? Okay. Any more questions out there? This is your last. Oh, see, the minute I say it's the last chance. Everyone has questions.
How do you prioritize technical debt against product work?
Can you repeat that? Sorry.
How do you prioritize tech debt against product
Right.
work?
Okay, so how do you deal with the tech debt side of it?
This is easy for me. So running the engineering team means that I can have my engineers work on anything. And so if I wanted to pull 100% of them, I'd have to get into a fist fight with my co-founder, but we could do it. So anyway, as I mentioned earlier, we have a technical roadmap and a product roadmap. And at any given time, I'm kind of weighing the balance of how many engineers we can put on one or the other. And I tend to skew towards product because I want to innovate, and that's what's going to drive the business. But I know in my heart as an engineer when things are about to crumble, or when the tidal wave is going to crash, and so we brace for it.
Yeah, and I think from our perspective, definitely like shiny new things don't always win. That like some of the win is actually spending time doing refactoring and actually building some of that into your pipeline. So we definitely try to allocate some percentage of the work that we do towards building into our infrastructure.
We kind of have a combination of the two. We definitely have we have a technical roadmap. We have a whole team that's building out our infrastructure, helping with scaling. In the business that we're processing credit cards, so being up and being secure are our top two priorities. So we have a whole team doing that. So we don't sacrifice on that bit. And then also when it comes to products, if we're acquiring some technical debt, we try to build that into the estimates when we're planning out the work that we're going to do.
So as Rohit knows, who asked the question, our platform's a little older. So there's always kind of the debate of, should you refactor? Should you throw away and rewrite? And how do you just kind of keep it fresh as you go along? And that really very much relates to just the state of the code base. So I think in some instances, we've probably refactored when we should have thrown away. In other instances, we're doing a better job where we have a fresher code base of kind of maintaining it and keeping it healthy. And in some places, oftentimes we just did this on a big project, a major element of the site where you just kind of rewrite. So it's kind of making those right determinations, because a lot of times you can kind of head into tech debt and you're not going to really see the benefit out of it, or you took too moderate of an approach and you really should have kind of said, we need to go to a rewrite on this. So it's a little different as your platform ages as to how to handle those decisions.
Great. Anything else? We good? Okay. Last question. Who's got it? For real this time. Anybody have a question? There. Yeah, I knew there'd be one more. And this panel's been great. You guys have been amazing. So great job with the Q&A here.
I'm curious how often you guys get ideas internally from developers that say, hey, I've been messing around with this little project on the side. Does that come up very often? If it does, how do you react to that and distinguish that from a deliverable product?
I sometimes feel not often enough. I actually would love to hear more of that. So comparing kind of my current environment to my prior environment, that was often a source of some of our ideas. Because, on the product side, you don't always know what's the art of the possible from a technology standpoint. So I think there's often not enough of those ideas coming forward, not enough time sometimes being dedicated to skunkworks projects that explore those new approaches to issues and to opportunities.
So at GrubHub, we actually have Learning Friday every other week. So we actually encourage that learning atmosphere and being able to, do some of those skunkwork things, or think about, places where you want to learn about new technology or new applications, and actually encourage that, because there may be a new way to solve a problem based off of what people are kind of spending time thinking about on those learning days.
We do the same thing. We call them Open Dev Days. Every other Friday, the developers get to take that time to explore new technologies, or if they have an idea related to a Braintree product, they can spike that out. And a majority of our product is very developer focused, so it's APIs that developers are integrating to. So a lot of the way we integrate and that stuff, that comes from developers.
Anybody else? Final thoughts on product development and technology.
What's the Hawk score?
Anybody? Hawk score. 1-0. Hawks? Hawks. So that was that. I thought he was cheering it up. I thought they were cheering at us. Apparently that was not.
No, I think
all of a sudden they heard that uproar of people in the back. Must have been something we said. All right, anything else? Anyone have final thoughts they want to share? No? Okay. Thank you. Let's hear it for this amazing panel. Great questions, too. Thank you. Give yourself a round of applause as well. We couldn't do it without the support of Cars.com, and as I mentioned, we're coming back September 4th for our next speaker series event with Cars.com, so be looking for that update. We'll be sending you a note that kind of shares the speaker and what's going to be the topic and theme of that night. And then we'll be back in November as well, November 6th. So a couple more events this year. We're super excited to be offering these. Hopefully you found it super helpful, and we'll continue to change out the theme. Let's hear it one more time for the panel. So Thank you very much. Next up, we've got our Startup Showcase. So what we've been doing here for the last 8 years is showcasing startups. We started here in Chicago, and we brought together the different, the community as well as the companies. And so basically, we've got a handful of companies that are here. They'll be set up over here. But before we get started, we want to do our Startup Showcase so that we get everyone here, and then we'll clear all the chairs. So stay where you're at. This won't take very long. It's pretty easy. You actually get to interact with what's happening. And basically, what we're going to do is have each company give their short pitch. You guys get to actually vote on the companies, and the ones that win qualify for our national competition, which is actually in Las Vegas, October 9th and 10th. It's called Celebrate. It's a conference as well as a startup showcase, our biggest startup showcase with companies from about 30-something cities around the country, as well as speakers. It's just a really great time. Last year there was a llama parade, so you just never know what's going to happen downtown Las Vegas. So you can find out more about that too at celebrate.tech.co. You can sign up for updates, and we'll soon be releasing tickets if you would like to attend. I'd highly advise it. It was a really great time. Plus, there's thought leaders that you can connect with one-on-one from around the country. All right, so can we get our startups? Actually, I'm going to have our panel exit. Thank you again. One more time for the panel. Watch your step. No injuries. This is a no injury zone. So I'll stand up here, and we're going to now have our startups come up and line up on this side. So if you're in one of the booths, come on up to this side. You can come around the front and line up in a certain order. And we'll do this relatively quickly because I know it's the only thing standing between you and the cocktails behind you. So we'll do it really quickly. So if you're with a startup, you must understand you are holding these people back. You need to get here as quickly as possible. All right. So so the way this is going to work is similar to, as soon as I get this untangled here, similar to like American Idol or some of these other shows you see on television. We're going to have you, as the audience, interact with these companies. And so if you have a mobile phone, you can put this in already. It's on all the monitors, the phone number 469-275-9502. We'll go through each pitch. As they pitch, you put a number or a letter in there that associates with them. You can then vote to that number. Your last vote is the one that counts, so you can vote as many times as you want, but it'll only count the last vote. So we're going to give them about 60 seconds, which is a quick pitch. We call it lightning round, jam session style. So come on up here. Our first company. Is it Chitter? Okay, let's hear from Chitter. Ready? Go ahead. I'll get out of your way.
I'm the connected consumer. I don't really rely on traditional marketing. I mean, I've seen it all, and as a result, I'm pretty savvy. I only rely on the content of my peers online to make purchasing decisions, and I share my own experiences online with different brands and products as well. And I'm the brand. I realize just how influential the connected consumer is in determining purchasing trends. However, I still pretty much rely on traditional marketing, and I don't even really know how to proactively design experiences for my consumers to share. And we're Chitter. We're the intersection of what the connected consumer is already doing online and how the brands want to advertise online. We act as the conduit between the brand and the connected consumer by incentivizing our end users to post positive, designed experiences to their social media for the brand, turning them into customer advocates, brand ambassadors, and loyal, engaged consumers.
All right, let's hear it. Chitter, nice job. That's A. So if you wanted to vote for Chitter, it's 469-275-9502. It would be A on your mobile device. Next up, Curb Ninja. You've got 60 seconds. And actually, Fran, if you'd like to come up here and show people exactly how much time there is, they can help count it down. That'll make it that's more fun, right? It's interactive. Ready? This is Fran. Oh, I'm blocking you.
All right, guys, we know how much parking sucks, right? But it sucks even worse for motorcycle and scooter enthusiasts. Today, motorcycle and scooter enthusiasts are unable to park safely and securely on the street. Unlike cars, motorcycles can't be parked in lots. They can't be valeted, and they can't be parked in garages. So they're left to park on the street, leaving them vulnerable to knockdowns, parking tickets, and expensive towing. And there's no solution for them currently. But now I'm excited to introduce Curb Ninja. It's a mobile app that uses crowdsourcing that allows motorcycle and scooter enthusiasts to not only find places to park in the city, but also share the spots they find with the motorcycle community. We're taking Chicago by storm. We just launched in Chicago and San Francisco, so we need you guys to go out and tell all your friends that ride motorcycles and scooters about Curb Ninja, and I need you guys to do me a favor. I want you to repeat after me. When I say curb, you say ninja. Ready? Curb.
Ninja.
Curb.
Ninja.
You guys got it. Find us over at the back. Go to curbninja.com. Thank you.
All right, nice work. And here I thought that would be a ninja on demand. Darn it. Okay. Next up. Oh, we lost the screen. Oh, no signal. That's no good. All right, C, go ahead. We lost
Hey guys,
all screens.
I am Mike from Foxtrot. Foxtrot is your new best friend living in your phone. We curate an amazing menu of wine, beer, spirits, fresh foods, and other great items and deliver them to you in under an hour. So we essentially find all the best stuff in Chicago, the best mixologists, restaurants, and brand, curate that menu, and make ordering that as simple as possible. So if you go in the iTunes store, download Foxtrot, we'll be at your door in 60 minutes with your favorite stuff. Thank you.
All right, there we go. C, Foxtrot. Perfect. You can grab the mic, pass it on to the next one. Nice work. Yeah, talk into the mic. It's your friend. All right, next up, D. Hoodle. No. Oh, you're what? Oh, where's? Oh yeah, come on up here. Ron is next. Go in order. Spread the message. Ready, go.
Hello, my name is Ron Williams. I'm CEO of a company called Hoodle. It's spelled like neighborhood, but I don't know how to spell hoodle, so we call it Hoodle. Hoodle is an online marketplace website for people who are building a new home anywhere in the United States. There's about 1 million people a year that will build a brand new home. There are 0 websites until now where they can find neighborhoods, builders, floor plans, product and service suppliers in their locale, and essentially walk through the process of building a new home. So it's kind of like somebody said today, Sims for a new home building. But it is a place where you can go build a new home, walk through the process. It's free to use. We started in Champaign, Illinois. We are now opening up for the rest of the state of Illinois. About 8 weeks, we'll open up for the entire United States. We'd love you to go there and check it out. Hoodle.net. Thank you very much.
All right, great job, Ron. That's D. And a little story about Ron. I met him at Champagne Mixer event 3 years ago, so he had an idea. Here he is. So.
Okay, so last week I went to a networking event, much like this one. I got my business cards ready. I worked up the courage to talk to some strangers, and then I awkwardly met a couple people that I'll probably never speak to again. I think that most of you would agree with me, even though you're at a networking event, that these are often stressful and a waste of time. So how else can we meet people? LinkedIn is a great way to keep track of your current contacts, but not to make new ones. And social events are fun, but there's no guarantee that they'll have any professional relevancy to us. Hello, let's face it, the current options for networking suck, but Loop is here to change all that. Loop is the best way for young professionals to meet new people and enhance their careers offline. This is how it works. Sign up at loopmeetings.com, and then we match you with 2 or 3 relevant young professionals, and then your small group goes to a local coffee shop to chat. Loop allows you to actually get to know people with similar professional interests in an enjoyable way. So far, we've set up over 200 coffee meetings. Yeah. Oh. Okay, well, sign up at loopmeetings.com and put an end to bad networking.
All right, that was E. Loop. Great job. There were no cocktails involved in that, unfortunately. All right. Remember, what your job is out here, aside from voting, is to help them know that this timer is ready to go. So keep that in mind. All right, next up, Show Mojo.
All right, quick. Show of hands. Who here is a renter? Who rents their place? Okay, who has had to go and find a place to rent in the last year? All right, and how many of you enjoyed that experience? Yeah. So for what it's worth, property managers and landlords dislike the leasing process just as much as renters. Every day, any hour of the day, phone calls come in. They come in at night. Emails come in with a dozen questions from someone who's never looked at the ad. And then people schedule a showing, and guess what? Sometimes they just don't show up. We've built ShowMojo to change that. ShowMojo is an automated marketing and scheduling service that knows the property manager's schedule. If you're online at 2 in the morning looking at listings, or if you're driving in on your commute and calling on an iPhone, you can book a showing that works for both you and the property manager. Our goal is to make the rental process not suck for everyone.
All right. Great job. And that was ShowMojo.
I'm not sure.
One moment. We're still waiting for our scream to come back. Come on up here.
Sure.
We'll get it back. So make sure you tell people who you are, though, several times.
Okay. Before we start, I'll just go ahead. All right. I'm Standard Health. We're a college student kind of team startup. What we work on, we've just started actually in the past 2 months. We work on creating a communication channel between physicians and patients internationally. We've just started our beta test in Tehran, Iran, as well as 2 in hospitals in India. What we focus on, instead of just creating that normal communication channel, we create EHRs in areas that don't have internet access currently. So the idea is to create the next generation of centralized healthcare without the necessary paper trail that we leave and without sort of increasing the communication gap.
All right.
That's it. Yeah.
Great job. So you're H.
Yep, H.
All right, that's H. All right, we'll take the mic back. We've got one missing startup. Hopefully they find their way to the stage. I think it's Shortwave. Is that how you pronounce it? It's missing a lot of letters. And missing in action too. Okay, going once. Shortwave, are you in the house? Going twice. Are you downstairs watching the Blackhawks game? I hope not. Okay, so all right, so that's it. All right, so you can hold that real quick. All right, so have your mobile phones ready and get this number in there, 469-275-9502, 469-275-9502, A for Chitter, B for Curb Ninja, C for, they're rallying, C for Foxtrot, D for Hoodle, E for Loop, F for ShowMojo, G for Shortwave, didn't make it, H for Standard Health. I'll give you about 20 more seconds. How many people need more time? Have you voted? All right, I want to hear a drum roll. There we go. Yeah, I like the enthusiasm over here. Drum roll. If we could show the results. Cue the results. It's going to take, and the winner is Chitter. Congratulations to Chitter. You just qualified for Tech Cocktails Celebrate coming up in October in Las Vegas. We have one more announcement, and I need to get actually the actual reader's choice. So before we did this, we had all of the companies online, all of our readers around the country voted for their reader's choice winner. And I just got the results for that as well. So one more drum roll, and then we're going to go have a few cocktails. All right. Love it. Love the enthusiasm. The winner, it's actually, they swept. Chitter takes home the reader's choice as well. So congratulations. I don't know what you're doing with your message, but everyone gets it, and they voted for you online as well. So congratulations. Thanks, everyone, for coming out. We could not do this without the support of Cars.com. Really appreciate what they've been doing here in Chicago for 15 years and working with us for 3. So let's hear it one more time for Cars. Thank you. Now it's time for our mixer. We've got CDW as a partner of that as well, so they're in the back. We also have partners like 43 North, which you definitely want to go talk to, as well as Hoffa Media has been shooting this. They're over here somewhere. So thank you all to all our different partners and sponsors. Go say hi to them at their booths. We've also got our partners nationally, American Airlines and .co as well. They get us where we need to go. So thank you all for coming out. And we'll clear the chairs here, and it'll be slight chaos for a moment, and then we can have a few pints.